And I called my wife. I said, man, this could be a disaster because I know Caroline just spent a bunch of money on seminars. Then what happened?
I had 70 people RSVP'd, and I honestly had the same fear. I'm like, dude, 6 p.m., it's dark out.
Yeah.
It's like 10 degrees.
Snow on the ground.
Are these people going to show up? I had every single person but like one person
And the
show
one
up.
lady.
And the one lady, she called me.
That was awesome.
And
she set an appointment,
and
right?
we set up an appointment.
Yeah, so 70 out of 70.
Every single person that RSVP'd, I was able to talk with. Wild.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Medicare Sales Playbook. I'm your host, Dallas Keithley, and man, we have a great guest today. Can't wait for you guys to meet her. But first, I want to thank you guys. I want to thank our producers, Adam, Celine. They have been killing it. You guys have been killing it. Just got back from a big conference and had several people walk up and say, hey, I know that voice, like that raspy, why does it sound like he smoked 30 years voice? You got to be the guy from the Medicare Sales Playbook, and that's awesome. So I do appreciate you guys, and man, keep the nice comments coming, keep the bad comments coming. We don't care, just as long as you're talking to us, we love it. So we are going to jump right in today, and we have a guest all the way from Chicago, Illinois. Got to go recently and do some seminars with this young lady, and guys, I came back and I told our executive team here, I said we need about 50 more of her. And our lives would be much, much easier. One of the brightest young ladies I've ever met, learns stuff very, very quickly, and has a personality and a delivery that allows her to talk to people and make things simple for them. So it is my pleasure to welcome to the show today, Miss Caroline Trecartin.
Thank you so much, Dallas. I really appreciate the warm introduction.
Yeah.
Super kind words. Really appreciate it.
I meant most of it, honestly. Like it was, man, Caroline, you've been in the insurance world. Let's back up. In the insurance world, how long now?
So I've been licensed for about 3 years now.
Okay.
Almost 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah. Started out part-time in college. Been full-time for about almost 2 years.
Yeah. And I love your story. So I want to start there. You got licensed in college. First of all, why were you in college? What were you going to college for? And then why insurance?
Yeah, so I was in college. I was at the University of Illinois down in Urbana-Champaign. I was studying psychology. So major in psychology, minors in business and chemistry. I was on the pre-med track.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Words that you'll never have to worry about me saying.
So I was on the pre-med track, wanted to go to medical school. I think I was a sophomore in college, so I was kind of getting ready to take the MCAT in the next year or two. And always good at school, 4.0 GPA. Never really thought I would get into insurance, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
My sister, Charlotte, who's 2 years older than me, she started out selling life insurance.
Okay.
She was doing it for a couple years. And that's how I kind of heard about it, because she was doing it to fund money into her business, which now she's doing full time. But I learned about selling life insurance from her, and I was like, this is pretty cool. How much money are you making? All that good stuff. I was broke college kid.
Yeah.
And looking to just kind of make some money on the side. I never thought I was going to be my full-time thing.
Yeah, and you said life insurance, and people are like, wait a second, this is a Medicare podcast.
Right.
What we're going to talk about today is how she transitioned. So we're going to title this one, How to Go to the Dark Side or something like that, right? But, okay, so as a dad, right, you're
23.
23, I could be your dad. As a dad, so I dropped out of college as well. But it was not to do better things, one. And two, there wasn't really a surprise. Like, you know what I mean? My parents were like, yeah, we saw this coming.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
You're a 4.0 student. You go to tell your dad, Dad, I am going to drop out of college and sell insurance.
Hold on. I didn't drop out of college.
Not drop out. You finished college.
I finished.
Yeah, you switched career path.
Right.
It's better for the story. Come on. No, just kidding. So
dropped out.
Yeah, kind of take me through that.
It was honestly challenging because my
Yeah.
dad is the type of person who was always on me to perform at a very high level.
Yeah.
Like, I would come home from school, I would tell him, oh, Dad, I got a 99% on my test. He wouldn't be like, oh, great job, like any normal person. He'd be like, well, why'd you get that one question wrong?
Yeah, Mr. Trecartin, if you're listening, I love you. Like, I don't know why she's being so mean, but no, just kidding. Yeah.
So, yes, it was a very high pressure environment growing up to always succeed, never fail, perform at a very high level. So as you can imagine, I was very scared to tell him that, like I'm not going to be a doctor. I'm not going to go to medical school, because he had this dream for me to go to medical school, become like a psychiatrist, open up my own practice, make hundreds of thousands of dollars doing that. But when I started succeeding at selling life insurance part-time, I graduated a year early because I had enough credits. And I'm like, well, I'm a year ahead of technically everyone else, because they're all going to be going to school for another year. So why not maybe take the next year and go full-time? Yeah. And he was not supportive in the beginning.
That was a hard talk, I'm assuming.
It was definitely challenging. Yeah. Like, it kind of the normal things, like, this job isn't secure, doesn't have a 401k, doesn't have all the benefits, the dental, vision, hearing. Like, it's 1099, it's commission only. Like, you have a degree that you can go get a normal job. A normal job is what he called it.
Yeah. And your dad's been very successful. Your dad, engineer.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. And if it's okay to talk about, I'll let you dive in as much as you want. You lost your mom at a very young age.
Yeah.
And so your dad, I mean, amazing dude. I don't know that much about him, met him a couple times, but amazing guy, raised two very successful daughters. So, yeah, from a dad's side of it, I'm over here sitting going, I mean, to me, that's when you hear insurance, just initially, that has the same ring as dad, I'm going to go be a comedian. You know, I'm dropping out of school to go, you know what I mean? So I can feel that. But, man, kudos to your dad, and kudos to him for raising two daughters. And we'll get back into some of that stuff. But right now, I want to talk about you jumped into life insurance. Yep. Full force. And a lot of people transition, and we're going to talk about the transition in a minute. A lot of people transition into something else because they're failing at what they're currently doing. That was not the case for you. Talk about getting into life insurance, what you did there, your average month, stuff like that.
Yeah, so I started out getting part-time in college. I was selling life insurance for about 6 months before I graduated. Super mediocre producer. Yeah. You know, kind of sporadic production, sold a policy here, sold a policy there. I mean, granted, I was taking like 20 credit hours in school, so I wasn't able to devote all my time to it, kind of sporadic here and there. When I graduated, I was able to go at it full time, started kind of picking up some traction, but still not very consistent, maybe consistently doing 5 to 10K a month. I'd call that mediocre for me.
Okay, but hold on there. As you're right there, you decide what's mediocre, what's good, what's bad. At that time, did you view that as mediocre?
No.
Okay.
No, I would say that I was happy that I was picking up my production. Right. Looking back, looking back, you can call that mediocre given what I was producing after that. But I hear what you're saying. Like I was starting to pick up some traction, but still facing a lot of challenges.
Is it fair to say at that time that you knew you could do more?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
And that's where the mediocrity comes in. Mediocrity doesn't lie in the number. Right. It lies in the activity.
Right.
And then, you know, if you're doing all you can and you make 5 to 10K, that's not mediocrity.
Right.
But you look back and you're like, gosh, I could do more. So what made the switch? What lit the fire?
So about 2 months into me being full-time, I went to a telesales boot camp hosted by Roger Short and Chris Ball. Yeah. Phenomenal dudes.
Yeah, Life Insurance Academy.
They host the Life Insurance Academy podcast.
Yeah, sister podcast.
You can put my podcast up there if you want.
I better be getting some shout outs from from their side over. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So my mentors, Mike and Jalen, who run True Wealth Financial, they really encouraged me to go into this telesales boot camp. They were like, Caroline, I think you're going to get a lot out of it. Mm-hmm. Jalen was actually there producing. When I was there, I thought I was going to produce, and I think the whole 3 days I did one policy. Or maybe 2 policies. But Jalen's over here. He's got like 10 policies on the board in 3 days.
He had those lined up before he went. Let's be honest.
Right. It was rigged.
No, I'm just kidding.
But being surrounded by like 20 people in just one tiny room who were producing at such a high level, like it showed me like, man, my activity is not high enough. Because we were grinding all day long for like 10 hours straight, 400 or 500 dials a day. Prior to that, I was doing like 100, 150 dials a day. Like I thought I was working, but let's be real, I really wasn't. So until like I was in that community, surrounded by all these people, it showed me like what activity really is.
Yeah.
And how much you can actually do and perform at such a high level in such a small amount of time.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Man, I hope people don't miss the lesson there. Mm-hmm. Your ceiling is set by your surroundings.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah,
so
absolutely.
if you're working in an office, and the top producer is producing 15 apps a month, everybody that comes in below them is like, okay, 15 apps a month is the level.
Right.
That's the ceiling.
Right.
You know, you surrounded yourself with people that were better at you at the time, better than you at the time. And that you're like, okay, that's what's possible.
Right. Absolutely. That showed me like a whole new world. It showed me what hard work really means. So I came home from that telesales boot camp. It was tough. Like I was crying every day there because I was facing a lot of challenges.
They have people drop out and go home and all that.
Yeah, I had like a whole panic attack.
Yeah.
I remember crying in like the lobby room, and Rose was just calming me down, giving me like Tylenol because I just did not feel good. It was a whole thing. But after that, oh my gosh, my production really did start to skyrocket. I started to gain traction because I learned what it means to show up, to be surrounded by good people, to be surrounded by people who are succeeding. Started going on all of the training calls I could. And, just a couple months after that, I became a top producer.
Wow. So what at your prime in life insurance, what was an average month?
I was doing 25 to 30. I think my top month was about 35 grand.
$35K a month.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not bad at 21,
not
22
at
years
all.
old. Yeah.
It was pretty good months.
Then I will say, to me, what sets Caroline apart from, and I get to visit with a lot of agents, is her head for business. You realize, because what the average person, and me included, would do is we would go out and learn to live a $35,000 a month lifestyle. Mm-hmm. You didn't do that because you realized that, hey, right now the harvest is great, but there may be some drought. So talk about, you started putting away, saving, investing in your business, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was definitely in a blessed situation because I was still living with my dad at the time throughout that whole period of time. So didn't have rent, didn't have many bills to pay. So I was in a very blessed situation to be able to set a lot of that money aside into savings and investments and whatnot. And I also grew up in a very financially savvy household. So I had that background to be able to learn to not spend all the $30,000 that I'm making into like a car and whatnot, and actually put it aside and save. But about like 9 or 10 months in, I realized okay, if I keep selling life insurance, I'll keep making good money, like you said. But once I stopped selling life insurance, I stopped making money.
Well, and so let's get into that.
Yeah.
Why the transition? You're now fully into Medicare.
Yeah.
Still doing some life insurance, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But what was the thought process of, you know what? I've been doing life insurance, doing very well. I'm going to pivot and do some Medicare. Yeah.
So, Mike and Jalen, they would always tell us hey, you need to build an exit strategy in this business. You got to have some sort of exit strategy because you don't want to be selling life insurance for another 30, 40 years until you retire at 65.
Yeah.
Like, you need to either build an agency or get into Medicare and start building some sort of renewal income, some sort of residuals. The idea is that you need to have money coming in when you're sleeping, right? Like, so when you want to stop working, you have that money coming in.
Right. And on the life insurance side, I get that because that's what I did, man. On the life insurance side, we got Cody Askins and I were door knocking, got pretty good at it, and we're making great money. But then we started thinking, man, if I take a 2-week vacation, if I'm making 20 grand, I just lost 10K.
Right.
You know, and I can't afford to shut off the machine. So you started looking into the future, maybe don't want to work like this forever. So let's build something. And man, kudos to, and I think I've said kudos like 9 times, but that's okay. Kudos to Mike and Jalen. So imagine this. You're sitting there, you're an agency owner. You've got a client or you've got an agent that's producing at 25 to 35K a month, and you tell her, hey, you may want to think about transitioning. That's brave on their part.
Absolutely.
Because they're making commission override on what you produce. Most agency owners would just be like, look, just burn her to the ground. She may burn out, but that's okay. We'll find somebody else. They looked at you as a person, cared about you as a person, and said, hey, you got to think about this too, right?
Oh, I'm so grateful to be part of a phenomenal team.
Yeah.
Like Mike and Jalen, they're like family to me. I'm so blessed to have gotten to know them on such a personal level because these guys, they poured into me week after week after week.
Yeah.
Like, they're not just looking at me at like dollar signs.
Right.
They're looking at me like a whole person.
Yeah, you're a person that they care about.
Absolutely. Like, they want me to be successful. And they said, as we grow and we go up, you're going to come right with us.
That's cool. That's really awesome. And then, so they bring in Michael Bond.
Yep.
And we've had Michael on the show here. Great guy. If you haven't seen Michael's interview, he talks about how to be more than an agent, how to be a complete agent that provides everything for your client. And you guys got to go back and watch that one if you haven't seen it. So Michael Bond heads up the Medicare division. You come in. Looking back now, as you make the transition into Medicare, is there anything you would have done differently? If you had the old time machine and could go back, what would you tell yourself?
I did such a rare thing when transitioning into Medicare. So most life insurance agents, when they're adding Medicare onto kind of like their spokes, they go at it very slowly. Like, they kind of just start cross-selling to Medicare. They'll keep selling life insurance. They'll keep doing what they were doing, and then just cross-sell to Medicare so you don't lose that income. I was like a rare bird, I guess, where I like completely transitioned into Medicare.
Have you ever done anything half, can we say asked? Yeah. Have you ever done anything like that? Yeah.
No. When I go at something, I go like full force.
Yeah.
So I was like, if I'm going to do Medicare, I'm going to do it 100%.
Yeah.
It was definitely challenging because I did lose all of that income coming in from the life insurance side. Like, my income went from all the way up here, $30K a month consistently. And then like all of a sudden, the first month was like October when I started selling Medicare. Like, my income dropped. Then the next month, my income dropped even more. Then the next month, it dropped even more, and it was scary.
Was there a time when you're like, let's just go back to life?
No, honestly, because I believed in. I believed in Medicare.
Why?
I saw the vision. Because people, I hear so much on the Medicare side. People poured into me what the vision is, what the future is. So a couple months of no income or little income isn't going to scare me away from it.
Nice.
And
I love
again,
that.
because all the months I was doing life insurance, I didn't have many bills. I was able to set so much money aside and savings and investments. So I know I had that kind of as a buffer.
You gave yourself permission to fail.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I gave myself the space and the grace to learn.
Shout out Rocky Garza
Shout out
right
Rocky
there.
Garza.
Yeah.
Space and grace to just learn. Medicare, it's tough because you can't just learn it overnight. Like, it's a process.
What surprised you as far as I didn't realize it was going to be this tough?
I think that like there's so many different types of plans. There's so many intricacies and nuances, and there's a lot of compliance with it. Like with life insurance, it's like I can sell Miss Betty in
Wild
California,
West, man.
and I can sell in Florida and Texas the exact same plan. Like just put it into my insurance toolkit, spits out the quote, and do the application. And see. With Medicare, like you got to know the doctors, you got to know the networks, the prescriptions, make sure everything aligns. Like it's a lot that goes into it. I remember when I finished up my contracting with Medicare and I finished doing all the certifications, I practiced on my dad because he's on Medicare. And I'm like, okay, Dad, I'm going to look at some of the plans for you. And he only has like one doctor. He's one prescription. So I plugged it in and I'm like, holy crap, there's like 45 plans I can choose from. Like, how do I know which one's the best one? So that really scared me because I'm like, this is going to be a challenge.
Yeah, I remember getting that phone call. Like, Dallas, which one's the best? What do I do? I'm like, well, first of all, we can't say best. But then you became a student, right? Go back to I believe one of the things that makes you successful is you approach everything like you're trying to get a 4.0 at, the old Fighting Illini. Right. So you become a student and start learning the plans, right? How much time do you devote to learning and all that every week?
A lot. Yeah. I mean, we have training calls almost every single day. So just that, I'm learning and absorbing. Like, I love to learn. Like, I'm not afraid of learning. Yeah,
I like that. So you start making the transition. When people get into Medicare, the first step that overwhelms them is there is a lot. It's a fire hose. You got the AHIP, and you got certifications, and then contracting is just the worst in Medicare, right? Yep. Even if you're working with a great team, because you work with them, then you work with United Healthcare, and if there's so many places the ball can get dropped, right? But you get contracted, you're ready to roll. Now the next step is, how do I get in front of people?
Yeah.
What's your system, and how did you start getting in front of Medicare people?
Okay, so to give people who don't know some context, with Medicare there is a lot of compliance. When I was doing life insurance, I was all telesales. I never went into the field ever. I was afraid of in the field.
Yeah.
Because I'm 23 years old. I'm a woman. Like
in Chicago.
Dude, going into people's houses is scary.
Yeah.
So with Medicare, that's the big question of, okay, do you buy leads and sell them over the phone? Do you like go in the field? Do you do seminars? Do you do like kind of your grassroots marketing? Like there's a lot of kind of ways to go about it. I was a little scared of the compliance aspect, to be honest with you, because there's a lot that goes into it, like recording calls and stuff like that. And I knew that the seminars would be something that would attract me. I remember in school, I would love giving presentations. I loved like tutoring people, educating people. And I'm not afraid of speaking in front of a group of people. So I knew the seminars would be like, okay, that's something that I know I'm going to want to do. But I didn't want to start investing into them right away. So I started out doing educational seminars at senior centers. I reached out to you. Yeah. And I was like, I need the seminar slideshow. Like, send me the video of you doing it. And I'll take it from here. So I reached out to, I'm in Chicago, so there was like 100 senior centers in like a 20-mile radius of where I lived. So I reached out to a bunch of the senior centers, asked to speak to the event coordinator, and it was during AEP. So I kind of brought it up like, hey, there's a lot of changes coming up with Medicare. I'd love to set up an educational seminar for the seniors in your community and come in, and I'm not selling anything, but just to kind of educate them about what kind of is changing with the plans next year. And I did about like 10 or 15 of those during AEP.
How'd those go?
They went okay. I was pleasant for my first times doing seminars. Like, okay, I wasn't investing anything into them.
Right.
Like, it's free to do them. You bring coffee and donuts. So whatever sales I get, it's like free. Like, I didn't pay for it. So I was happy with any results that I got. I will say it was a good start.
Yeah.
For any agent that's starting out in the business and you have a lot of time, but you don't have a lot of money, that is a great place to start.
Yeah, I love that because it took some gumption, took some courage to pick up that phone, right? There's all these objections that float through your head. Oh, they've got to have somebody that already does it. There's no way I'm getting in. But you're like, you know what? Again, you gave yourself permission to fail. The worst thing to do is tell me no.
Oh, yeah, right.
You get in there. It's free. Those are hard, I would guess, because all different age brackets, all different sets of circumstances and all that to be very nice, right? But what I loved about it was, and you called me and I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I would do that. But then I thought, same thought, I'm like, it's free.
Right.
It's great practice. And when you're new, anybody that will give you a microphone, you pick up that sucker and you speak into it.
Yeah.
You take every chance you get to talk to somebody.
Take advantage of it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, it's a great way to start, great way to practice. If it didn't work out, I didn't spend $5,000.
Yep.
So it was a great way to just practice the seminar and kind of get after it. And, I got maybe 20 or 30 sales from that. So it opened the door for me.
It did. And a lot of practice. I love that. Immerse yourself. Your first AEP, and I think I told you this, is I don't even know if I would set a goal as far as numbers, or just get in.
Right.
This is a practice. Make sure your E&O is paid up and get in there and go. Right?
Yeah.
So you did, but then you decided, okay, it's time to invest.
Yeah.
So talk about what you did, how you invested, stuff like that.
Yeah. So after AEP, I knew that I'm going to go full force into now Medicare T65 seminars, which, for those who don't know, are seminars that are geared towards people who are turning 65.
Yeah.
So in that case, they require tons of investment. You have to send out mailers to people who are turning 65 in the area. So a lot of costs on that side. But I was ready to invest in myself. I knew that I love doing the seminars. I learned that from doing them at the senior centers, that this is something I love to do. So I'm ready to go full force into it. And the more I invest, like, dude, I know I'm going to make my money back. Like, you're going to.
Well, okay, how can you confidently say that?
Well, I'm a confident person.
Yeah.
Like, it works, and it's a system that is proven. Like, we have tons of agents at Lasting Mark. Shout out to Casey Askins, because she's been a huge, huge help to me.
Yeah.
Her whole thing is seminars. Yeah. So I talked to her a lot. She poured into me, and I'm so grateful and appreciative for her and you. I mean, everyone on the whole seminar side, it's a proven system. I didn't want to reinvent the wheel. Yeah. Like, I wanted to, you tell me what to do and I'll do it.
Yeah. And that's again, an anomaly. I'm praising you a lot, and I don't care for it. No, I'm just kidding. Caroline is an anomaly in that she is confident, but knows I've got to be humble to learn too. Right. So and that's rare. Usually confident people are like, just you point me in the right direction and I'll run. So you do the seminars. And you called me. And guys, if you're ever wanting to do seminars, I would love to help you. Reach out and I can help you get started, get going, whatever. That's what I do when we're not doing this podcast here. But you called me. I come down there. And let me tell you, one, it's Chicago. And Caroline knew ahead of time. She's like, Dallas, listen, it's going to be cold. That week we had really cold temperatures in Missouri, so I tried to find the one place that was colder. I go to Chicago. I'm like, this is insane. You mailed how many people?
So in February, I did 4,000 mailers.
4,000 mailers. A good return on that is going to be 1 to 1.5%.
Correct.
Right? So if we get 20 to 35 people, we're happy. I go down there, and that week it is cold. Like, I think it got down to like -12 or something.
Oh, yeah, it was a cold week.
It was cold.
I mean, February in Chicago.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know why I even got more upset with the Cubs. I don't know what they had to do with it, but I'm sitting there in my hotel room. I land that night. I get in. It is freezing cold. I left something in my truck that I needed. Didn't use it. I'm like, nope, it's gone forever. I don't need anything. I'm not going back out there. I'm sitting in my hotel room that night, and I called my wife. I said, man, this could be a disaster. And I'm worried because I know Caroline just spent a bunch of money on seminars. It is cold here. People are not coming to these seminars. then what happened?
Yeah, so I had 4 seminars that we were doing that week. Tuesday lunch, Tuesday dinner, Thursday lunch, Thursday dinner. I had 70 people RSVP'd, and I honestly had the same fear. I'm like, dude, 6 p.m., it's dark out, it's like 10 degrees.
Snow on the ground.
Are these people going to show up? I had every single person but like one person
and the
show
one
up.
lady.
And the one lady, she called me.
That was awesome.
And the next day I saw it, she left a voicemail, and she's like, I'm driving around. I can't find a parking spot.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to go home because I am not walking in this weather. And I called her. I'm like, I am so sorry.
And she set an appointment,
and
right?
we set up an appointment.
Yeah, so 70 out of 70.
Every single person that RSVP'd, I was able to talk with. Wild.
That's unbelievable.
That's Chicago for you.
That's Chicago. I guess y'all are just
they just know what to expect.
Well, I attribute it to the Cubs. They've had just such bad things happen to them for so long. Sorry. I love y'all, Chicago. Chicago is one of my favorite cities. I love going there. Beautiful.
It's great in the summer.
I had to say something nice. But you have 70 people show up. Mm-hmm. So 1.8%.
Yeah, just about.
Pretty good turnout. You had how many from that say, yes, we would like to sit down with you?
Yeah, so out of those 70, about 55 or 56 said yes.
Yeah.
Out of the 14 or 15 that said no, however, about half of those I was able to convert those into a yes.
Because you call them afterwards.
Because you call them, you just say, thank you for coming. Is there anything I could have done better to change that no into a yes?
Yeah.
A lot of them were like, we were talking on the way home. We actually do kind of want to meet with you. Or a lot of them will be like, oh, maybe we're already working with someone. Mm-hmm. And I encourage them, well, I'd love to still meet with you and see if there's anything I can do to help you out.
Yeah.
Kind of turn those into yeses. So just having that conversation.
Yeah. Again, what's the worst that can happen? They've already told me no.
The worst that can happen is they're
just
going to
say no. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you get appointments with all these people. I know now you're currently in the middle of running these appointments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We just came from an award show, and you walked across stage a couple times. That's why I'm in this stuff. You guys see I'm in casual. It's not me trying to be cool or casual. It's that I don't have any clean clothes left. Like literally, I'm driving. I got up this morning. I'm like, what do I wear? So I'm like, let's just. You walked across the stage a couple times. And here's what's really cool. At your seminar, your dad in attendance. Mm-hmm. And I go up to him, and he won't even talk to me and tell me he's your dad because he said, I'm here in disguise.
He's like incognito.
Incognito. He's like, I'm here to support her. And through the whole thing, he's like, man, this girl knows what she's talking about, doesn't she? And it was just so amazing. And I'm watching him throughout the seminar. And also, we're going to say kudos again. Kudos to you. Most of the time when I go do and teach seminars, I do the first 2 or 3, and then the last one somebody does. Caroline sees me do it once, and she's like, Dallas, get out the way. She said it very nicely, but she's like, I got this. Mm-hmm. And then gets up there and proceeds to almost word for word do the seminar. Same jokes, same everything. I'm like, hey, Caroline, don't tell that one again. No, I just absolutely kills it. And I'm watching your dad, and I'm thinking, I know your story, I know your history, and I got a little emotional because I'm sitting there watching him. He is just proud as can be, right? Have you and your dad had a talk since then, saying, "Hey, I'm proud of you. You did this. Yeah. I know you have. That's why.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm glad you did this.
Oh, he's so proud of me.
It's unreal.
I mean, even when I started, producing at a high level in life insurance, he didn't see the vision. He's never known anyone who was a self-employed insurance agent. So as any parent, I mean, he had his doubts. Mm-hmm. But as he saw what this business can really do for you and the income that you can get from it and the freedom that you can achieve, he also saw the vision.
Yeah.
And after my Medicare seminar, he called me and was like, wow, you did absolutely incredible. I'm so proud of you. And every time I kind of get to that next level, he's just beyond words.
Yeah. Attaboy, Dad. Yeah. That's cool. And I love watching that. So let's put a bow on this thing. Today I heard in order to transition, you got to surround yourself with great people, right? Michael Bond, you've mentioned Jalen and Mike and Casey, and I don't know where it came from, just popped in my head. Your ceiling is set by surroundings, by who you surround yourself with. 2, I heard, let yourself fail. Be wise. Don't go nuts. Don't go chase the shiny object. Let yourself fail. 3, cast a vision. I've heard Mike and Jalen say this a few times, right? Write down the vision so that everybody can see it.
Yep.
What is the vision? What's the goals? We just hit 2025.
Yep.
I'm guessing you're going to be on that stage in 2026. What's the goals? What's the vision for Trecartin this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to keep attacking these seminars right now. My plan is to do a set of seminars every single month. And I have a really, really good system in place. I mean, shout out to Michael Bond with what he does on the CRM side too, because he's really helped me build out some great automations on that side, because that's very important. But I'm going to keep doing my seminars every single month. My goal is to get 500 clients on my Medicare book of business by the end of this year. And I mean, just go after it, like go all in.
Yeah. 500 clients by the end of the year. What are you at now?
I'm at about 100.
Okay. So we're sitting here March, what are we, 15th, 16th, 17th, somewhere in there.
Yeah. It's a
100
big,
clients.
crazy, audacious goal, big, hairy, audacious
Big, hairy,
goal.
audacious goal, the old BHAG. Yeah. That's incredible. I want to finish with this because I've watched you now. And I tell people all the time, if you have a question, if I can help you, call me. You're one of the few that do, and I appreciate that. And I'm glad you used to say, Dallas, I'm sorry to bother you. And I kept saying, no, you're not bothering me ever, right? I see you now turning around and pouring into other people, right? If you're talking to an agent that is thinking about, man, I got to jump, and it may not be from the life side. It may be they're at a 9 to 5. It may be a 4.0 person in school going, man, I just don't like where I'm headed. What would you tell that person? How would you encourage them? Because I see you encouraging people all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, from a perspective of being a young individual in college, just wanting more, I think college is something that it's so misconceived right now that you think you can get this degree and go, get a job making phenomenal money, but it's just not the case right now. And there's so many opportunities in this industry, and I think that it's the biggest secret in America that is just not talked about as much as it should be. And it's really not that hard, honestly. Once you got it down, it's really not that hard. But I think most agents quit early because the first couple months is the most challenging. The biggest challenges I faced were in the first year of this business.
Right.
After, you'll face challenges along the way, absolutely, but the biggest challenges you'll face are in the first year. If you don't give up on yourself and you surround yourself with a positive community, a successful community, people that are pouring into you. The first upline I was with did not pour into me at all. They just kind of let me be and do my own thing, and I felt all alone. But when I joined Mike and Jalen and Lasting Mark, I mean, I never felt so poured into in my life and so believed in my life. And that's what you need. You need to find and surround yourself with a group of people that believe in you more than you believe in yourself.
That's great.
At your worst days.
Yeah. I'm sitting here with you today, and what I was going to say at the pinnacle, you are nowhere near the pinnacle. We have not, the world is yet to see what Caroline Trecartin is going to do. But I'm picturing you crying in a lobby, asking for aspirin, Tylenol, whatever. I'm guessing maybe just a little bit of self-doubt rising up, a little bit of, I got to find an excuse to go home. I want to quit. Man, and now you're sitting here on your way up. That's unbelievable.
If it wasn't for my mentors my boyfriend, Kevin Hamilton, like Mike and Jalen, at the time, Roger Short. If it wasn't for those guys, I wouldn't be here today because they believed in me when I didn't.
But I hear you. I hear what you're saying, and I agree 100%. But you need to understand what you mean to them too, right? Like relationships like this, they're just a big old circle, man. And you're watching you work and all that. I came home. I told my wife, I said, man, I need to schedule seminars with Caroline about every 2 months. So just so I can go back and be encouraged and sit there and watch and be like, okay, the work that I'm doing, that's paying off. And
I'd love to have you back.
Yeah, warmer weather though. And then also we got to get Kevin going.
Yeah.
Kevin sitting in the other room watching right now. We got to get him rolling into insurance, and we can help him out. So great visiting with you, Caroline. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Good stuff, man. We got to dive more into your story next time. There will be a next time.
Absolutely.
Let's do it. So
I'll be on next time.
I like it. Okay, guys, today we've got something very special to announce as we wrap up the show here. We are at Medicare Sales Playbook preparing to go out and come to your city. Well, we're going to start in cities close to Springfield, Missouri, which is where we're at. Those cities will be announced, but we will be doing some Medicare boot camps. We're going to have special speakers. We're going to be pouring into you. We are going to be bringing ways that it's not just going to be a rah-rah, go get them. We're going to say go get them, and then we're going to say here's how you do it. Here's how you get in front of people. We're going to bring successful people that you've seen on the podcast. We're going to bring them and pour into you. So be watching on our website, our social media, all of that for the Medicare Sales Playbook, Medicare boot camps. We're coming to see you very, very soon. They're letting me out of this little cubicle here, and that, man, I'm a peacock. You got to let me fly, right? To quote one of my favorite movies. Caroline, thank you again very much. Appreciate you. Your social media is unbelievable. Tell folks where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, so right now, Trecartin Insurance Group on Instagram, Trecartin Insurance Group on Facebook. You're more than welcome to shoot me a message, shoot me a DM. I'm happy to help anyone that needs help.
Yeah, Trecartin.
Reach out to me.
Trecartin. Yeah.
Trecartin.
Yeah, I got it. Come on.
One.
I know. I worked on. That's the only thing I prepared for on this show. Guys, thank you again. We appreciate you all. We appreciate you guys watching the Medicare Sales Playbook, sharing, liking, commenting, all that stuff. Thank you again to Caroline. Great stuff. And we will see you next time on the Medicare Sales Playbook.